All right, Sean Zattel here with my man El Feroz, one of the greats, now training his 3 sons, and gave me some time here at the Vargas Boxing Gym here in Vegas. About 2 weeks now, removed from Emiliano co-headlining alongside Bouts and Zayas in Brooklyn. He got that fourth round knockout over Bryce Mills, man. And what'd you think about it, man? Him in that spot, 21 years old. How did you feel about his performance?
Amazing performance, you know. We knew that Bryce was going to be a tough individual, and that you know, he was going to come with everything, and he did. You know what I mean? And you know, my hats off to him. You know, he tried getting up, but it was just impossible when I think he tore something in his feet or foot or something. I don't know what happened, but all I know is that, you know, Emiliano did what he needed to do to get the win.
You know, one thing that's popular talked about when it comes to talented fighters, what they call the quick twitch, the fast twitch muscles. And how much do you think Emiliano has that and showed that in the fight?
I mean, the twitch, you know, the twitch muscles is, I mean, he definitely has that. I mean, he's quick with it, but, you know, he's not too, like, too twitchy when it comes to that. But Emiliano, you know, he can fight orthodox, he can fight Southpaw. And, you know, when he was a kid, he asked me to train him as a Southpaw. I said, let's go. No problem. I'm not going to, you know, stop your learning, you know, your growth as a fighter because I don't know what I'm doing. No, I'm going to learn. I'm going to do what I need to do to learn, you know, combinations as a Southpaw, and that's what we did. We surprised Bryce with something that he did not see coming.
Like, you felt like that wasn't stunting his growth or his creativity. You were letting him explore different styles, different things in there, letting him try out Southpaw when he was a kid.
Absolutely, because of the fact that when he told me that, I said, I wasn't going to tell Emiliano, no, you're not a Southpaw. What the hell? Why would I do that? You know, the extension of me fighting as a Southpaw was I would get up, I would fight, and as an amateur, if I was gonna switch to Southpaw, I'll be orthodox, and then I switch to Southpaw, and then and what are you gonna throw to a Southpaw? A right hand.
A right hand, yeah.
Right, so they would throw the right hand, get close, come back, 2-3-2, and that was the extension of me learning how to fight as a Southpaw because I never asked my trainer that. I never asked him to train me as a Southpaw, and maybe if I would have asked him, he would have done it, but he didn't. But I never did that. But I wasn't gonna stunt my son's growth as a fighter because I didn't know how to do it. No, I'll make myself learn how to do it, and that's what I did. So, you know, what did I do? Is to keep throwing right hands at him as a Southpaw, so that way he can learn, slip, we slip, 2-3-2, slip, body shots, 3-2, slip, uppercut, you know what I mean? I wasn't going to stop my son's growth as a fighter.
Because a lot of trainers will, if a fighter is trying to experiment with a shoulder roll or this or that, they'll go, hey, no, it has to be this way.
So even that, I let them do that, but I tell them like this, there's only one Floyd.
Right.
There's only one Floyd that mastered that, the roll, the shoulder roll. Now I trained with Floyd Senior for like a few years, and I learned a lot. And I do let them do some things sometimes, but I always tell them like, let's not get used to it because there's only one Floyd. Now if you're doing a combination and you roll and you come back with a shot and you go out and you did it, okay, cool. You learned that it's possible to do it. But, you know, I don't know about doing it in a whole fight. Like, you know, Emiliano wants to try to do something like that sometimes. And so I tell him, okay, cool. But let's make sure if we're doing it right. So, like I said, I learned from Floyd Senior. I was, you know, he was training me for a good while. Of course, you know, it wasn't for free, you know what I mean? But, you know, I had to pay him. But hey, you're learning from the best. You know what I mean? And I learned certain things that, you know, that Emiliano could do in a fight, and you know, if he wants to do that, shoulder roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he actually fought the whole fight as a southpaw for round, and we've seen him in fights switch mid-round, but this fight he fought the whole fight southpaw. Like, was that something you guys game planned for? Did it, or was it something just like when the fight began, he got comfortable in that stance, or what was that?
For 8 weeks, we went southpaw. We trained southpaw. We sparred southpaw. We did mid southpaw, and so you know, that was a part of the plan. That was part of the plan that we're gonna mix this guy up, you know, fighting him as a southpaw, and he's not gonna know what hit him, and that's exactly what happened.
What was it that you saw that made you want to approach the fight that way as a
Well,
southpaw?
I saw in his record that he only fought one southpaw. So, you know, when you're already a fighter with 23 fights, you know, I should be having more of different looks when it comes to different styles of boxing. When it means orthodox to southpaw, southpaw to orthodox. So, you know, when I saw that, I said, we're gonna do the whole camp southpaw, and that's what we did. I mean, everybody knows that Emiliano can fight, you know, switch back and forth, but not do a whole fight southpaw. And so, you know, that's what we ended up doing, and we ended up getting that W, and it was a big W, and I'm very proud of my son. He did amazing, and I know that we're with the right promotional company that's gonna take him to the top and make him a world champion and one day a Hall of Famer. I absolutely believe that.
You know, how much of an asset is that to a fighter, and for you game planning as a coach when you have a fighter that can fight both ways, ambidextrous?
It's everything, you know what I mean? Because look at when Crawford fought
Canelo.
No, not Canelo. The other black guy, what's that?
Errol Spence.
Feroz, okay. Look, you can see when
Because Spence is a southpaw. Too.
yeah, so no, yeah, but he fought southpaw to southpaw, so that's difficult so you know, Crawford, he went southpaw from the gate, and that's a southpaw to another southpaw is kryptonite. And so when I saw that, I said to myself, I even said this before that fight. I go, it's gonna be a great fight. I think that Crawford's gonna be too much for him because of the fact that he can switch back and forth. But when he came out the whole fight fighting as a southpaw, like I said, what is the kryptonite to one southpaw? Another southpaw. Why? Because they never see each other. They never see each other. It's very difficult for two southpaws to be fighting each other. There's always orthodox to orthodox and southpaw to orthodox. So it's not too common that it's southpaw and southpaw. So I called that fight, and I called this fight too.
With Bryce Mills.
Yeah.
Well, it was in round one, I tweeted something. I said, I don't think Bryce Mills is seeing these left hands coming from when Emiliano came out as a southpaw, and I said that's probably going to be a big problem. And then the second round, he drops him with a left hand. Was that the case, that the hand speed and everything, like he wasn't seeing the punches coming?
Well, you know, like I said, you know, I knew that it was going to be difficult for him if you know, only fought one southpaw in your career. Like if you have 22 fights already, you should have at least 4 or 5, you know, southpaws in the mix of your trajectory, because of the fact that you want to show that you can fight anybody and you can be champion by you fighting all these guys that are orthodox in southpaw. You have to be a complete fighter. And so when I saw that there was only one southpaw that he fought, I said to myself, we're going to do the whole camp southpaw, son. And Emiliano listened, and he did amazing in the fight, and I'm just happy for his success, and it's going to be an amazing thing for him to continue to blossom and become a world champion one day, Hall of Famer.
Well, what's interesting though is last time I was in the gym and we talked about your journey and progression as a trainer now, because not everybody that's been world champion can necessarily be a good cornerman, necessarily be a good trainer, and that takes a level of preparation as a new career as a trainer. So it sounds like you were doing your homework. You looked up and down his record. You didn't just look at Bryce Mills as a cupcake and say my son's more talented.
Exactly.
Go in there.
Like, because you got to do your homework. You got to do your homework from this point on. You know what I mean? And the next fights are gonna be coming, and they're gonna be great fights that they're gonna excite a lot of people, and I'm super excited for Emiliano because all I'm here to do is to better him, to try to help him get to where he wants to get. And at the end of the day, he's my son. You know what I mean? He comes from me. He comes from the bloodline. So as well as my other two boys. You know what I mean? But Emiliano is very focused. So are the other two boys now. And, they're starting to get their act in order because of the fact that I told them, hey man, if you guys don't hurry up and get ready, we're gonna miss the bus. And so they're starting to get ready. They got some BKB fights that are be coming up this month, and so we're gonna be going to London. I'm gonna be going to London, so I'm just excited for my boys, and I think it's gonna be a beautiful thing in the future, what it holds for them.
Well, Mato's win over Dean the Great aged well. He keeps getting more famous, and he got his scalp on his record. So
well, that was a great fight for Amado. Amado really, showed Dean that there's levels to this. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, my boys are doing amazing, and I'm proud of them.
Just quick side note, are you happy to see Adrian Broner training with Dean the Great, and it looks like they're making people laugh, and now he's training him in boxing and everything, and
well, that's cool.
Working that gut off.
Well, they're working that gut. I heard they're making good money off the streaming, and which is great, because at the end of the day, I wish nothing but success to people when it comes to finances, because it's difficult, especially if you have I had a lot of people robbing me left and right, you know what I mean? And a lot of it was my fault for trusting them. But you trust people because you think that they wouldn't do the things to you, because they like you, but they don't like you. They don't give a fuck about you, really, because at the end of the day, they're trying to steal money from you that's not theirs. You know what I mean? People become greedy when they see how much money you're making, and they're like, well, I'm only taking this much. I'm not taking that much as the other person is taking. Still, you're still taking money that's not yours, and that's wrong. So, I'm super excited for my boys, and I know that they're gonna do good, and because I'm right there every step of the way. You know what I mean? And when I see the hanger honors, the people that you're gonna be having to pay for just being around you.
People trying to get in the circle.
People trying to get in the circle, and and I tell them, hey, just get this guy out of here. This guy's no good, and they listen. So that's a good thing, because they can end up saying to me, Dad, leave me alone. I'm doing what I want to do in my career, and okay. But I'm telling you, where my advice comes from my life that I lived. I lived it already. You can't tell me about people robbing me and forging signatures and having the checks go back to the office, and it it was a free for all. But I wasn't on my money like I should have been. But praise God, I have a successful gym, over 200 members. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good, and we're doing good. The family's doing good, and that's all that I care about. If our health is good, and then everything else is gonna fall into place.
back to you training and this journey of you being a trainer now. You mentioned the tougher fights definitely ahead of Emiliano as he climbs to the championship ranks.
Correct.
He's number one with the WBO. Are you enjoying the challenge of observing fighters' strengths and flaws and devising that game plan, that strategy?
Correct. There's never been a world champion father make 3 kids world champion, and that's the goal. And that's a goal that we have in front of us. And nothing's impossible with God. We serve a mighty God. God's been with me. I haven't always been with God, but God's always been with me. And so we're a family of faith. My family, my kids, they know that on a Sunday we have to be in church. And I'm not perfect by any means, nor do I point the finger at other people because they sin different than me. Because I'm not perfect by any means, but I serve a perfect God, and I love my family. First and foremost, I love Jesus. I love God. I love my family, and at the end of the day, we know that any success that we have is because of the Lord.
Are you finding yourself watching more tape than ever now, or for more tape than you had in years because you have to study these guys?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Because I got to. It's my homework. It's my job. It's my, I got to do it. You know what I mean? Because, I'm not gonna have my family or my kids tell me, Dad, what happened? Of course, when it comes to when you're fighting the elite ones, you're fighting world champions again, and you're fighting, fighting people that are undefeated, then anything can happen. But for them to say to me what happened right now when we're barely coming up, nah, that's not gonna happen. Because anything can happen in a fight where you're fighting a top-notch fighter with world championship on the table. Anything can happen.
You'll have to adjust yourself
You have
on
to
the fly and think for yourself.
Correct.
The coach can't.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
and then I'm gonna be giving the instructions in the corner what to do or not to do. But he has the fighter has to be able to perform in that area of the time that we're gonna be fighting those top-notch fighters.
Did you have your post-fight talk with Big G that you said you have after every fight? You got his thoughts and everything. I know you can't. That's
yeah,
between
man.
You guys,
that's just my pops. That's my pops. That's my pops, the man that raised me, and I love that man. And he called me. He said, "Hey, here you go," and I go. He goes, "Fernando, congratulations. Emiliano looked amazing." And I go, he goes, "Take care of that kid. He's gonna be the next face of boxing." And I go, "Jefe." Jefe means dad, and pa. It means boss, but when a Mexican calls his dad, Jefe, that's because you call him dad. I go, "Jefe, none of this would be possible if it wasn't for you, and I'm thankful because I still have a relationship with you that to this day I need advice from, whether it be boxing, whether it be life, whether it be circumstances. I could always pick up the phone and call him, and he always picks up my call, and we always give me the best consejos. Consejos are advice, things that people have lived. Consejos are advice that from a man that's been through so much in his life. And so who else could I get that type of knowledge from but the man himself?
And now that he is number one with the WBO, that's for Shakur's title, but I don't know, it gets the sense there's a good chance with Shakur going to Zuffa now, he may not be defending that WBO belt. He could go to lightweight, he could go to welterweight, he may vacate the belt. And, just me knowing how boxing works, I don't think Emiliano and Shakur would be next or something. Right, just keeping it real.
No. And we have a world champion, former world champion that we're working on, but I can't speak about that.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I'm gonna let Top Rank do their work because they know what they're doing, and they include me on, on asking me certain things, and I think that that's amazing, and yeah, I'm gonna always tell them, the truth. Are we ready yet or we're not ready yet? And so Top Rank has been doing this for ages. Muhammad Ali, even I don't even remember watching. I could never tell you that I remember watching a Muhammad Ali fight, and that's before me.
Mm-hmm.
That's way before me. I was born. I wasn't even born in those times. But we're with the right promotional company that knows what they're doing.
Well, the guys that are, and I hear you're talking about a former champion, and you don't have to say, we've heard some names like Kambosos, other fighters, but the guys that are up in the rankings, if that title were to become vacant and Emiliano were to fight for it, are Duarte and Lindolfo Delgado, the two fighters from Mexico. Let's say Emiliano handles his business against this former champion you're talking about, and that fight's like in the next 12 months or something for the vacant belt. Let's say that it works out that way. What do you think of the matchup with those two fighters from Mexico, Delgado and have
right
you?
Now, I'm not saying nothing till we have the championship in our hands.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have the championship fight coming up. I'm never going to talk about an opponent before we even fight him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what I mean? What I mean by that is like I'm not going to say, we're going to fight this guy after a tough fight.
Right.
Because I'm not going to put my energy in that. I'm going to put my energy 100% in the fighter that we're fighting, because that's our job to do as trainers.
It'll definitely be before the year's done, though, right? Yeah.
None of my business.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I'm only here to be the best trainer possible for my boys. One day, the goal is to become the best trainer in boxing, because what are you here for? I've been boxing since I was 12 years old. I know this in and out, and so, I've been, and then I have the best teacher, made Robert Garcia world champion, made me world champion, made Mike world champion. And I went like this to him. I said, Jefe, I'm going to beat you. He goes, you're going to beat me? He goes, what do you mean? And I goes, yeah, I'm going to beat you. He goes, how are you going to beat me? He goes, you made me, you made Robert world champion, you made Mike world champion, and me world champion. But I'm going to make my three boys world champion by myself. And he goes, Fernando, you're not going to beat me. He goes, I go, what do you mean you're not? I'm not going to beat you. I'm going to beat 2-3. He goes, you're gonna tie me. It's going to be a tie. So what does that mean? That he considered me his son too.
Oh, yeah.
That shit was fucking,
yeah.
I was already crying like a baby. So, I thought that shit was so badass that he said that. And I started bawling. I said, gracias, jefe. And so, it's up to the man upstairs, first and foremost. That's where all our success has been. Because of why? Because we serve a mighty God. My still God in my kid's life, the best thing that I could have ever done was that. Because I know what God has done for me, liberating me from alcoholism. I just did 10 years. I'm going on 11 years December 1st. I used to pee 6 to 8 pounds of urine. How do I know? I used to weigh it. Because I said I wasn't going to walk to the bathroom each time when I'm getting up 15 times to pee. I peed on the bucket, and I would weigh it. It's 6 to 8 pounds a night of urine. One day when I was, I told you the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the people don't know. But
okay, well, I'll say it again. One day when I was in church, they said, God's going to cure somebody today. Come on up. They came up. I would go up and they pray for me. And, I didn't tell them what I was sick of or anything. But I go up and they pray for me. I come home and I start having some cornflakes in the kitchen, and Junior comes out. When Junior used to live with us, when he was a kid, he said, "Dad, you're sick." And I go, "You saw me go up in church so they can pray for me?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "You see that bucket of piss next to my bed every day?" He goes, "I've seen it for years, Dad. What's wrong with you?" "I don't know, son." I went to the doctors. I asked them. They took all kinds of tests. They thought it was my pituitary gland because of boxing. It could get calcified, and you can't concentrate your urine no more. Nothing was wrong with my pituitary gland. They thought it was my kidneys. Nothing's wrong with my kidneys. They thought it was my bladder. Nothing's wrong with my bladder. I don't know why I'm peeing all this, and that's what I was going. That was happening even when I was fighting. That day, from me getting up 6 to 8 times a night, I got up 3. The next day, 2. The next day, 1. To this day, I only get up 1 time. And I know that I serve the only true God for the miracles He's done in my life. So I know for a fact that God listens to you. He wants you to establish a relationship with Him. He wants you to pray to Him. And I do that every day. And so I instill that in my kids. And it's a blessing when my kids go to church, even when I'm not there, or I can't be there, because whenever I'm anywhere, even when I'm in certain cities for fights, I go to church. I find out where there's a Christian church, and I go to it. So, I'm not perfect, nor do I point the finger at you because you sin different than me, Shags. And because the Bible says the way you judge, you shall be judged. Mm-hmm. So God knows I don't judge nobody. I let people live. You live the way you want to live your life. I don't care, as long as you don't mess with my family. Because then if you mess with my family, then we got problems.